You described yourself as 5 bored school-friends who just happen to play the right instruments.
Yeah.
What role does boredom have in creativity for you in making music?
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Especially in lockdown, I think.
Yeah, well, lockdown, there was nothing to do, so me and Robbie, I think almost every day, were on Skype or Zoom writing songs, and we came out of the kind of lockdown with 40 songs. Some of them have been great, and some of them were pretty terrible.
Yeah. Some of them were very bored. And I'll keep finding ones that I listened to. I was like, oh, that sounds amazing. I was like, oh, we wrote that.
Was that over Zoom?
Yeah. It was good because like we used to go over to Nashville and write with like our friends over there, and all of a sudden we could. It was the norm to write with them on Zoom, so we didn't have to do the 8-hour flight to do these things, and like we spent a lot of time writing together and kind of, which we hadn't really done too much of before, just the two of us. So it was. I think we used it productively.
Definitely.
Do you write a lot of stuff on your own as well? Is that how it kind of begins? Do you work on it by yourself and then kind of bring it into a session with each other, or?
It's kind of like, I think just now it really, like the way we bring in ideas can be totally different. Like sometimes it'll be that me and Robbie have just got like a verse chorus, or a chorus, or
A verse,
or like a melody, or like even like just like a little like beat on like Logic or something that just kind of like, and sometimes the song sounds like nothing like what the beat originally sounded like, but it's more of just kind of like gets you in a mood and an idea of what kind of style you're looking for, or like even like just song titles as well. Like sometimes somebody says like, this is a cool song title, like, let's try and write a song about that. Yeah.
So how long have you been writing together? 6 years now?
Yeah, I think we've kind of like changed our. At the start, we were very much like, oh, like this is a song that Callum wrote, or this is a song that Robbie wrote, and we've kind of like over time developed, and only in maybe like in the last kind of year or so we've properly like, I'd say like gelled between the two of us.
Writing together, yeah.
Yeah.
I think pretty much everything is writing together. Like, even if it's like more or less like a full song, it'll just be like, bring it to the other one, and we'll just kind of be like, oh, this is like just a couple little changes and stuff. But yeah, it's like there's no kind of just one person writes one song now anymore, which is kind of nice.
Has the way you communicate with each other kind of in that creative space and as songwriters, has that changed and kind of evolved with time?
Yeah, I think we're a lot more comfortable. I think, you know, even though we're mates, like, even in writes in general, like at the start, I think we're like very timid, and like if somebody else is saying something and you're trying to find a way to say like, oh, I think no, that's good, but we can maybe do it better, and like I think we're very used to each other's styles, and like just the style of like songwriting, and these people have wrote, you know, thousands of songs, and we kind of know how that works now. And like I think the best kind of instruction that we got was like just always make noise, like always like repeat the chorus or something. So like instead of like sitting there like humming something in your head, hum it out loud. So it probably sounds worse, but it's actually a lot more productive.
Keeps everything flowing, yeah.
It's interesting that you were saying as well that it was only a year ago you really kind of started working together in that collaborative space, because the output that you guys have put out over the last year kind of has a slightly more cohesive edge to it. It kind of feels like you found your sound in that way. Is that partly responsible for that kind of collaboration coming together fully, or?
I guess so, yeah. Like I think like past like few songs that we've recorded and released, like they've been songs that me and Robbie have like sat together and wrote the song, or it's me and Robbie with another writer, and so like I feel like we're kind of getting to know what we like, and like the ideas come more naturally, and like like working together it flows a lot faster now, and then like just like having that song ready to take to the band as just like an acoustic guitar track is great, because then the band like it's like it's, you know, it's just rearranging like this song that we've wrote, and kind of putting the whole Dancing on Tables touch on it.
Yeah, it's a lot more kind of productive, I think, as well, because as you say, like we'll like send like the acoustic track on the Monday, and then we'll get together on like the Wednesday, and everybody's worked out their own ideas, and within like 45 minutes you've got a full Dancing on Tables track, which it's helped us as a whole band.
Has what a song needs to do to be successful as a Dancing on Tables track changed with time?
I think like we're more open to like different styles and stuff, I guess. I don't know. I think before I was a lot more kind of single-minded when I was thinking of what to do with a song, and like kind of realised now like songs, like it's better to have like a wide variety of like styles and like topics that you're covering, and like I feel like now if we had like a set list of all like the kind of new ones that we wrote and released, like they're all about different things, which I think
Yeah.
before we might not have had. But
Yeah, I think we're more like comfortable, like alright, this is going to be a slow song, than just like keeping it as like a ballady slow song, rather than feeling like, right, we need to make this like indie pop or alt rock or something like that. Like we're just kind of, it could still be a Dancing Tables track without fitting directly into, well, without all sounding the same.
Over the last few years as well, as you've kind of grown older and changed as people, are there any parallels you can kind of notice between your personal development and your development as songwriters? Can you draw any comparisons there? Does it bleed into it, how you change as people into your songwriting?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of general, just maybe a bit like maturity maybe, and just being more kind of aware of what's going on, and just it's like kind of any skill, like we practice songwriting, and we're getting better at it, and kind of like the influences that we take from our life and life around us is like, we're kind of, I think we're maybe like always on the lookout for different inspiration now, whereas before it'd be like, right, let's write a song, right, it's about X or Y or Z, kind of like trying to fit it in. But now it's like, right, let's try and, let's make it about a story about this person. And yeah, I definitely think that, yeah, we're just with time, I think we're just trying to keep on improving, so I think it's natural.
I think, yeah, like when we first started anyway, like maybe it was like writing lyrics, you'd be kind of like almost embarrassed to like put something out there because you think, or you think of something and you think, that's cool, and then I'm not going to say it because it doesn't actually sound that cool or whatever, like just kind of like little things like that. But now I think when we're like writing, it's like you just chuck out anything, and like, cause sometimes you just like actually these like things that you might have been not wanting to say are great lyrics, and then if it is like a terrible lyric, you just laugh about it anyway. But it's like better to just keep. I know I spent like a lot of time just kind of like sitting in silence going, that's rubbish, no, that's rubbish. But now I'll just like say anything and everything that comes out, and then something, if other people like it, they're like, oh wait, like that's good, like let's work on that.
Do you quite often test lyrics with each other, where you kind of run something past each other if you're a little on the fence about it, and where you sit with it?
Yeah,
it's like, I feel like usually, I don't know, it's if we have like the chorus already but we're in the verses, and it'll be like one line, and we'll just kind of like, it's almost like you stop singing the line and you're just speaking what you think the next line should be, and it's almost just like a back and forth until like one person was like, oh, like that's cool, and then you kind of like stop and like write that down, and like kind of go from there. It just seems to be like, if something sticks, like whoever else is like in the right will kind of like be, well, like, oh, like that's like caught my attention.
You're waiting for that sound from the other person. Oh yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Like you're onto something.
Get in.
You mentioned as well about how all the songs, now tend to be about slightly different things, and they kind of have their own individual story and topic. At the core of them, though, they all tend to be anchored around these kind of big, relatable choruses. And there's a certain simplicity in them that allows them to hit with quite a lot of impact. Everyone can kind of resonate with them. Is it easier for you to express an emotion in a complex or simple way when you're translating it to your songwriting?
I think it kind of depends between songs. Like some of them that I've gone in with we've gone in with like an idea, like, right, this is about this person has had this and that, like it's very like kind of almost like story based, like what's happening to this person or what's this one about. But sometimes, like as you say, it's easier just to have like you take a song like Missing, and it's like literally just give anything for someone you miss, like it's just like a tagline almost. So I think we try and keep it kind of varied between the two, and we've always got a kind of like general picture of what we want the song to say, and it is kind of trying to make it give it that tagline that that's this song about this, but then also kind of develop it like underneath, and especially in the verses.
And that's something that's kind of always been present. You mentioned in Missing there, that kind of quality to it. It's always been very transparent and open. Does putting an experience that you may be contemplating, like Missing in your head, what that's kind of written about, into a song, does that become a natural part of like the self-reflection process? If it's something that you're kind of thinking about?
Sometimes I think when you're writing, and again it can just be a story, someone's like, oh, I thought of like kind of like the idea of this guy's done this or whatever, and you're kind of like, right, and then as you're writing it you kind of think like, oh, like that, you can like relate to the song somehow sometimes, and like I think that will help like putting a bit of like, if you felt what you're trying to write, it's easier to put it onto paper, I guess.
We always have to end up like apologising when songs come out, like, no, this isn't about you, I promise.
How often do people get in touch and think the song's about them and it's not?
Yeah, it's normally like other halves, like talking about like dying for the end of a relationship. I promise it's not about you, it's a version in my head.
It was interesting you mentioning certain songs are written about specific characters. Is that the same thing when you're tackling something like Wonderland, where it's written about the town? Does the town almost become the character in that?
See, that one was one of the ones where it was like, I can't remember who said it to us, but they were like, it'd be cool to have a song like about Dunfermline, about growing up in Dunfermline. So that was one where we went in with like an aim, like, let's write a song about this, which is what we do as well, like with like taglines and things, like rather than kind of letting it be about someone. I mean, it is from somebody's perspective, but it's more about like describing like what we felt growing up and kind of trying to encapsulate that into a song.
Something objective as well in a way, like it's kind of quite an open look at it.
Yeah, it's, as you say, it's just trying to kind of keep things varied, and that was one which worked really well for that style of song as well, and kind of it was easy to write as well, because like the five of us were like, right, literally got a big whiteboard and we're like, right, Dunfermline, let's write down what we know, and it's like cobbled streets and the abbey, like the bell ringing and things, and it's just, right, let's make this fit into a song.
We've spoken quite a lot as well about your development as songwriters, and how things have kind of changed with the process. What do you wish you'd first known when you started out as songwriters?
That there's not really any bad idea, I think, is one thing. Like, because I think I spent a lot of time writing stuff and then chucking the paper away or deleting it, thinking like that's crap, and then you're like you just think later on like that probably could have been like a great song if I'd remembered it, and all the stuff that you're just like too like timid or shy to like say or write down, and then you're thinking like if you just known that at the start, you probably would have been writing a lot better songs before.
Yeah.
I think as well I love obviously like listening to like stuff like the Arctic Monkeys, and Alex Turner like writes lyrics that are like obviously have some sort of meaning, but also like to like the naked eye they just seem like totally like nonsense, like they make no sense. And I used to try and like write songs like that, and I look at some of them like don't know what I'm actually talking about, and like I find it much easier now to like just write what I mean, what I'm feeling.
Yeah, definitely. I know you'd always like try and like be like, let's write an Arctic Monkey song or a Stroke song, and then you realise that it's
we're not.
I mean, it's
Strokes.
probably easier, but we're not there.
Yeah.
Does it become more cathartic then, now that you've got this ability to kind of have that freedom just to do whatever you want and no idea is a bad idea?
Yeah. I mean, I before it was like, writes always felt a little bit kind of daunting, and you're like, right, like we're kind of like under pressure to get something good, but now it's like, it's a really enjoyable thing to do, and like when you come like to the end of it, and always like give it a run through and take a voice memo, and like at the end of it you're like, right, like that was fun, it's enjoyable, and to kind of an hour later have a song that you didn't have before is always a good feeling.
And like I feel like with some of the songs we wrote in lockdown, we spent like with like not making sure we weren't just being like, let's just make sure every song's a Danced on Table song, let's just write the song that we've got. It was like we're going through all these songs to try and like cut down a list of maybe like 10 songs that we wanted to start with, like that like everyone in the band thought were like the best songs, and there was like a lot of songs were like really like this song.
Sorry, just got bee flew in my ear. As you were.
Yeah, like a lot of songs we thought like really like this song, but it's just like it's not our song. Like, so we have like a lot of songs sitting there that were like are good songs, but just could never really be done it justice by what we do as a band.
So if you want to buy a song, let us know.
Two for a pound.
Is that losing it though? It changed a lot. Kind of sounded like a Wham song on the first.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Like that demo. Like when we wrote that, it was so like fun. We were like playing about with keyboards and stuff, and like I love the demo, but we're like you can't play this as a band like that. Like people just be so confused. Like it just didn't sound like us at all. But
Do you have a vision with that demo though, in that moment where you can kind of see where you're going to map it out and turn it into a Dancing on Tables song?
I think turning it, like the process of it going from that to a Dancing on Tables tracks, like that kind of waits for when the five of us come together and
yeah,
like go through it as a band, and it'll maybe be like Reese being like, oh no, I actually like felt the drums more like this, or like Hamish with a guitar tone or something, and kind of it gradually moves into like over time into the track that we ended up releasing. Because at the start it's like, right, let's play it as the demo, and then as Callum said, like you realise that's not going to work as a Dancing Tables track, like, or just for us to play live. So yeah, it's sometimes it's like instant, or sometimes it's like it'll take months of like trying little bits and pieces differently, or different parts, and rearranging things and to get it to what it finally is.
Does your emotional connection to the song develop and change when you put it into that kind of new territory and put it into the Dancing on Tables soundscape?
I feel like you can really get into a song when you start playing it like with the band. Like some of the ones we've been like trying out recently, like new ones, that we can like, I love this song, and then we start playing it as a band, I'm like, I love this song even more. And then like, I mean, last week like we were practicing and Hamish wasn't there because he'd like hurt his foot, and so like it was just missing that part of the band. We're like trying to work on these songs, and it's just like a very like big part missing. And I was just like this, like I know this song's gonna sound great, but everyone was just like not feeling it until like we get the five of us playing, and then it's like, then it's gonna sound amazing.
I think it's as well like when we first got together after lockdown and we had these 40 demos, and we're trying to like pick our 10 favourites each, and it was so weird, like, because we'd all listened to them individually and then we came together, and then some people were like, how could you not pick this one, and it wasn't on other people's top 10s, and it's trying to like, yeah, I think some people definitely push for tracks more than other ones, but
Yeah, it's like that. Well, it was one that you and me both really liked, and we were like said the name of the title, and we're like looking at the others to see if they would like put their hand up for that song, and nobody did. We were like, what he's on about? It's like one of the best songs we know. Like forget about it.
but
Thank you very much, guys.
no,
Thanks
thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.